Should we expect that some types of crime should increase during the times of corona restrictions? Should other types of crimes actually decrease? And what does crime statistics already now perhaps tell us? My name is Henrik Andershed. I'm a professor of criminology and psychology at Örebro University here in Sweden. I've been doing research and been doing teaching for more than 20 years on crime and crime prevention. I collaborate with police authorities, municipalities and other organizations on how to make crime prevention more effective. The focus now is on slowing down the spread of the coronavirus. We want to save lives. We can't say anything against that. But we have a lot of restrictions. We see a lot of social isolations to our homes, even isolations from the schools and isolation to our homes, basically, in many different countries. In this episode, we will discuss these issues. What kind of social consequences the corona restrictions may have. What types of crime should we expect that could increase, and how can we prevent it? If you observe central stations, subway stations, restaurants, public places, it has changed a lot. It has changed a lot in terms of the number of people and the flow of people being at these different places. This, of course, will have consequences also for crime. Basically, we can say that a lot of criminological theories and research supports the idea that many people at the same place will generate crime in different ways. If we look at theories on crime, for example, the routine activity theory, the crime pattern theory, more integrated theories such as the integrated cognitive and the social potential theory, the ICAP theory, they will all in different ways say that these changes that we see in society with the flow of people really decreasing at our public places will decrease a number of different crimes. So because of that people are not as much as usually out on our nightclubs and pubs and out in the public, we should probably see a decrease in thefts, in assaults at public places, and particularly assaults related to places that serves alcohol. We might even see decreases in other types of crimes as well, related to many different people being at the same places. So what do we actually see in crime statistics and in other types of reports? When we compare the same weeks 2020 and the same months when the corona restrictions have been going on, and compare those weeks and months with the year before, 2019, do we see a difference? And in many different countries, not all, we see a clear difference in crime statistics. For example, we see that thefts and assaults in public places, they seem to go down in many different countries, at least the police reports about those kinds of crimes. And we do see indications of that violence in our homes are actually increasing. It seems to vary quite a bit across different countries. In Sweden, for example, we don't see, as of yet at least, a dramatic increase in violence in our homes. We do see some tendencies, but it's not really clear that it's a big change between 2020 and 2019. In Sweden, we haven't closed down our elementary schools and our preschools. They are still open. Our kids still go there. So we don't have the social isolation to our families that many other countries actually do have. It is also my opinion, at least, that our government in Sweden has gone in with a lot of economic support to companies and organizations to really see to that unemployment isn't increasing dramatically. And we don't see that either. We don't see a dramatic increase. We see an increase in unemployment in Sweden, but it could be much bigger probably. And it's not as big, that increase, when we compare to other countries. So what happens in Sweden now in the coming weeks and months will probably depend on how long the restrictions will go on, if we also isolate more to our homes by closing the schools, etc. But also in terms of unemployment. Unemployment is probably one of the key factors that will give a lot of other problems that will increase the risk of violence in our homes. To start a discussion about what we can do in terms of prevention, how can we prevent as many types of problems and crime as much as possible now during the restrictions, I will here suggest 10 things to think about. 1. Collaborate across organizations. In collaboration we can do more. So what I'm here talking about is, for example, the police authorities collaborating with other organizations. For example, with the municipality, housing companies, etc. Together we can do more, and if we also do this collaboration in a systematic and on regular basis, we can do this in a really effective way. In Sweden, for example, we have a working method that we call effective coordination for safety. So this is exactly what I'm talking about. In a systematic way, we map crime and unsafety, we analyze the problems, we do interventions and we follow up the interventions. And we do this in collaboration. So we actually can use each other's organizations also for interventions. When the police authority can't really do something about a problem, maybe the municipality can do it, or maybe the housing company can do it. 2. Focus on the more socially vulnerable areas, the areas with lower socioeconomic status. There are reasons to believe that if we have problems and an increase in crime, we will probably have them primarily in these areas. And why? Well, because we already have concentrations of risk factors in these residential areas, and they will probably be strengthened now. So we will have more youth with school failure. We will have more adults with unemployment. We will have more adults with mental illness and alcohol abuse. All risk factors for crime and violence. So focus on the socioeconomically deprived areas more in our preventive focus. 3. Increase adult presence in our residential areas with lower socioeconomic levels. As I've reasoned here before, it's clear that we will probably see the highest risk in these areas for an increase in crime, both out in the residential area, but also in these homes. So there are many reasons to focus on these areas in our preventive measures. So to increase both formal control in these areas, but also informal control. So formal control via the police being present, but also adults like you and me maybe living in these areas being present in the areas. This is of course a thing that will vary across different countries, what is possible to do. So for example, if the restrictions are that you can't go out, you can't go out. So what we can do here will of course during the restrictions vary quite a bit across different countries. 4. Strengthen schoolwork to work remotely and support the parents in doing this. So this presents of course a big challenge to get the schoolwork to work from home. Here probably the parents and the schools in collaboration have a big role in making this work. And of course we will see that youths that already had issues with managing school will maybe have even larger problems. So this is of course a group of children that we really need to focus on in our preventive work. So really see to that children having difficulties in various ways with their schoolwork, they need more support from the school, of course then remotely, but also, of course, from their parents. 5. ensure that parents are taking their role as parents and make sure that they receive support. I think that we probably can agree that one of the most important social crime preventers that we have in societies are parents. Parents can actually be very, very effective crime preventers. So during these strange and odd times, I think that there are many reasons to believe that parents play a key role. So if you're a parent, then you have a responsibility. I'm a parent and I have a responsibility. But there will be parents that can't really take the responsibility, or they don't know how to do it, or they have so many issues themselves, so they need support. So here we have, for example, our social services or other networks of support that needs to come in to see to that we can prevent very serious consequences for the children, so that parents that need support, they actually can get support. So for example, here we can talk about reaching out with information with how can they get hold of support. So reaching out to parents, seeing to that they know if they need support, where can they get that support. Six, organize and inform about meaningful leisure activities. Many leisure activities are now cancelled, or maybe they are going on, but in a very short and restricted form. I'm talking about the soccer trainings, the football trainings, whatever trainings. So the regular basis for our trainings, for the kids' trainings, they are not there anymore. So this will be, of course, something that affects the whole family, taking the routines out of phase in different ways. So here I think we have a clear challenge in creating good routines. All humans have a big need for routines, but also to be active. So having meaningful things to do is an important thing. So as organizations, we need to work out what we can do to get people in meaningful activities. Of course, again, if you have children, parents will be an important part here in creating a family environment with routines and meaningful activities. Seven, keep alcohol consumption down. Alcohol consumption is a risk factor for violence, for example. And when alcohol consumption is combined with stress, with mental illness, with anger, frustration, we know from research studies that that will really increase the risk for violence. Together with social isolation to our homes, it's a clear picture of risk. So to keep the alcohol consumption down is a key thing. 8, strengthen social services and psychiatry, and also the access to these organizations. There is a risk that we will see more stress with unemployment, the economic crisis in different ways. There is a risk for mental illness, for anxiety, depression, even worse mental illnesses perhaps. We also have talked about the risk for violence in the homes, and social services have a major part to play here, of course. In different countries they may play a little bit of different roles, but they can be very important. I think with social services and psychiatry during these corona restrictions, because we can't go into every home, I think that the accessibility is key here, that we get out information about where people can turn, where they can file a report, where they can get support. I think that's a key thing that we all can actually contribute with in getting out information to families that need that information, how they can get help. Nine, ensure that we have a legal functioning food and pharmaceutical industry. When we can't put food on our tables, we will be stressed out. It's going to be very important that we actually can get the foods and the supplies that we need to have for our families. And also the medical and the medical drugs, and that we have accessibility to these things. When we don't have that, we see an increase in the population stress levels, which could lead to worse things than stress. Also, if we don't have a legal market for food and medicine, we will probably open up for an illegal market. So that's another reason also to actually really work for having a functional market in terms of food and medications. Act now and in a preventive manner, not later and reactively. Let's not only study the crime statistics now and wait for an increase in something. Let's be preventive. I think that we have a risk analysis that we can act on. So we can actually do things that can prevent an even worse development of, for example, violence in our homes. There are things that we can do in a preventive manner. Thank you for watching and for your interest in crime and how to prevent it. This is our first episode in English. We already have the Swedish series. If you want us to continue with the English-speaking series, please let us know in the comments below. Please note that in the description of the episode down here, we have references. So if you're interested in reading more about the topic, you can look at the description down here. If you have any comments or suggestions on future episodes, please comment below. We also want to say that we have a Swedish series on crime and crime prevention on YouTube. It's in Swedish, I'm talking Swedish there, but there are subtitles that you can ask for in the YouTube episode in many different languages. There we talk about crime and crime prevention, of course. We have episodes up on psychopathy, on how to make a situation more safe, how to work in a crime preventive manner in a good way, and a lot of different things.